Hello, everyone. Your favorite comm major, Jim, is here. And I just wanted to talk to you about Anchor.fm. It is super easy to set up a podcast and get it out to all those amazing podcast platforms your friends use. Anchor is a one-stop shop for recording, hosting, distributing your podcast. Best of all, it's 100% free and ridiculously easy to use. And now, Anchor can match you with great sponsors who want to advertise on your podcast. That means you can get paid to podcast right away. In fact, that's what I'm doing right now by reading you this ad. And I'm also a member. So honestly, it's super easy, even for the comm majors. You know, we did not do enough work in college, but it's super easy to upload your episode, get it out there to all those services. So if you want to start a podcast, go to anchor.fm/start, and you can, check it out right there. That's anchor.fm/start. I can't wait to hear your podcast.
Hello and welcome to Comm Majors. I'm Brian Costello.
I'm Jim DeSanto.
And I'm feeling dandy for a Monday. It's a Monday. And I'm Jim Dandy.
Jim
You'll
Dandy.
have a Jim Dandy time.
Wow.
For anybody from Scranton, you'll recognize that.
That was.
Deep cut. That was for Siobhan.
Clark Summit Restaurant, Jim Dandy's, which is
Is it still open?
hopefully it's
God,
still
I hope
open.
so. I hope so.
Hopefully. And hopefully they're still running those commercials.
Yeah, agreed. Today we're looking at a film that won Spike Lee his first Oscar, BlacKKKlansman. But first, as always, we ask the most pressing question of every episode. What are we drinking this episode? What does everybody have?
Today I just have water. It's just some bubbly water, watermelon flavor.
Did I see that Bubbly now has Michael Bublé as their spokesperson?
Is that for real?
Genius.
Really? Are you
That's
making
funny.
that up or is
No,
that
I'm pretty
true?
sure that's true.
funny.
We need to fact check that. Fact check.
Fact check.
Okay. Siobhan does not remember Jim Dandy. I don't know how you don't, Siobhan.
What?
That
I cannot tell a lie.
I don't know how you missed that.
Yeah.
Okay, Katie is drinking One Hope Merlot from the Vintner collection. It's delicious for a cool evening, though it's supposed to be 60 degrees tomorrow. I'm just going to keep pretending.
We have not talked about this in a while. Any exciting One Hope info that we need to share with the people? It's shipping everywhere. I mean,
yeah,
really,
we ship it all over the place. We're doing good things. I just sent off 2 donations from most recent wine tastings, and it's very cool. People buy wine. I send donations to charities. It's really, what's not to love about it?
nothing.
No. And it's delicious wine.
Yes, by the one.
By the wine.
So I am drinking Baxter Brewing Company Hop Tryst IPA.
Oh, that's a little
Hop Tryst.
bit sexy, Brian. Well, I like that can. A naked back, provocative.
A Maine beer company, and we know I love my Maine beer.
Mm-hmm.
It is
Love
delicious.
Maine
Maine.
beer.
Jim and I
Maine
are
is
going to
the
get
best.
some Maine beer this fall.
Mm-hmm.
Heading up to Bar Harbor.
Ooh,
We
my
got a wedding.
favorite. My
A wedding
favorite
in Bar
spot.
Harbor, Brian.
We are
I
so
might
excited.
crash this wedding.
You're invited.
You're welcome to.
Yep.
I might just come because
We'll
I
film
love
it.
Bar Harbor.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll just say that you're the entertainment.
I could perform the ceremony. Remember,
That's
I am
right.
an
You are
ordained
licensed.
minister.
You know
I
what?
am
We'll
a
just
licensed-
tell them that you're on deck.
Mhm.
Just in case anything happens
And
to whoever's supposed to be
They only need to
performing.
give you beer and pretzels. And
That's
You're
it.
very easy. Very
I'll
easy.
actually bring my own beer because I know some breweries in the area.
Right.
if there's a VHS
We're
of Care Bears, that
staying
would help.
at a house, at a big house. I am
Yeah.
sure that you'd find a couch open someplace.
Yeah.
So
I don't. I get pool or a pond works for me.
Yep.
Pond's probably better.
All right, what are you? What are we doing?
he told us what he's drinking. What's next?
Yes,
What's
that's
next?
okay. Here we go. Fact check. Okay, so a couple of things from last week's show. Katie asked the fact check. She was curious about Oscar wins and other things.
Mhm.
So I did some research this week. Only 3 other films have ever won all the major 5 awards:
That's impressive.
director, actor, actress, picture, and screenplay, either adapted or original. The first one ever was It Happened One Night in
Which
1934.
was basically the beginning of the Oscars and film. So it was probably the
Yes.
only film nominated.
What is-
We don't know.
The Oscar goes to the only movie that was made this year.
Not go to Birth of a Nation, thank God.
Yeah.
That doesn't do that. The second film was in 1975, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Tremendous movie with Jack Nicholson. And of course, 1991 was Silence of the Lambs. Now, 8 other films have in fact been nominated for all 5 before and won 0. So they got nominated for all, but 1 0.
It feels like that shouldn't be able to happen.
Yeah.
Like if it's,
it's absolutely
good enough
should
to
be
be
happening.
Yeah, but if it's good enough to be nominated for all of those categories and then not win a single Oscar, that's crappy. Like Little Women. I don't know. I'm just saying. Just feel like
just because you make the playoffs doesn't mean you get
spread the wealth. Spread the wealth is what I'm saying.
Yeah, but what if a different film beat them in each category?
Who needs 5 Oscars? Nobody needs 5 Oscars. You need 1.
Yeah, but you're missing the point.
I understand.
Your logic makes no sense.
No, I know that. Since when has my logic ever made sense? I don't do logic.
How do you think you would stop by now?
I do heart. I do gut. I don't do logic.
I'm not sure your gut is steered you in the right direction.
Hey, it got me this far, so I'm just gonna
easy.
Okay,
Brian.
Let's move on. Just as an aside, the most Oscar wins of all time is a 3-way tie. Ben-Hur, Titanic, and Lord of the Rings: Return of the King all have 11 Oscars.
I can't believe Titanic won 11 Oscars.
I haven't seen that movie in so long.
We're gonna watch Titanic at some point. We have to.
Who was?
You know why? You know what's funny is that
was talking about that and said they had. Maybe it was Tim from Pop Battle saying he had a better. I can't remember if it was him. Like a better. Like feeling towards the movie or better understanding. I think
I haven't seen it since the theater.
Same.
On Unspooled, it was funny because I think Amy is a huge Titanic fan because it was like her age and what's his name is her favorite director. But Paul went into watching it like he was going to hate it, and he said it was actually pretty incredible.
All right.
Well, we'll think about that somewhere down the line. Maybe for next year's
Valentine's Day episode next year.
Maybe. We got to do another Rachel McAdams movie. Every year, how Valentine's Day.
Oh, Wedding Crashers.
Oh, that's a good one.
Okay. One of the other things we talked about was Katie's. We got to talk about Chris Isaac last week. And
love him.
He had never seen the Wicked Game trailer. Or excuse me, music video. So we played a portion of it before we went on the air for Jim, do we have it set? Can we just hear? This is really just my excuse to play more Chris Isaac music. Katie, what did you think of the video?
You suggested that we should have had a camera on me while I was watching it. I was very happy that we didn't. I enjoy that video. Though there's too much sand. I don't like. Running on the sand is fine, but the sand on their faces when they're still standing, I'm confused.
I think they were just smearing it on each other.
They were just rubbing sand on each other's faces.
It was very reminiscent of Smashing Pumpkins with when you sell an ice cream and they smear the paint all over the truck.
That I have seen. I am familiar with that one.
And then there's the commercial with Jimmy the cab driver.
And Helena Christensen is absolutely gorgeous, but I'm not sure she's legally of age in this video, and that makes me feel a little bit awkward.
Oh, I'm sure she is.
You think so?
I think, well, it's Hollywood.
There were those Aerosmith videos with a very young Alicia. What's her face?
Yeah, she was born in 68.
She's fine. Alicia Silverstone was definitely like 15.
Yeah, she was real young.
Just another reason to have Chris Isaac music on here. So that's Wicked Game. If you have not seen that video in a long time, it is something seriously. Else. And then just finally, in sad news, one of my favorite authors of all time passed away this week, Clive Cussler. Who we do movies on this and only had really 2 movies ever made. One, Raised the Titanic in the 80s, which was not a big hit. The second, Sahara with Matthew McConaughey, which is a fun action movie.
Yeah.
But I loved Clive Cussler. He's the reason I started reading a lot. No offense to my English teaching friends in high school. They don't necessarily pick books that are engaging for teenage boys. Hence, our reading is not at the highest level at points. And I fell in love with reading because of him.
That's so exciting.
88 years old, has published God knows how many books, tons of New York Times bestsellers. So Clive Cussler,
Cheers
goodbye.
to Clive Cussler.
The
Cheers.
best. All right. With that in mind, it is now time for the rundown. So Chris Matthews literally just quit on air on MSNBC before we recorded this episode.
Yeah.
So Katie, this is your audition.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Deliver.
Oh, my
you
gosh.
could be the new host of Hardball, potentially.
This
Go
is
for it.
Katie DeSanto with your hardball rundown. Ron Stallworth is a black rookie cop stuck working in the records room in his Colorado Springs precinct until he gets the opportunity to work undercover and infiltrate the KKK. With him as the brains and Adam Driver as his face, what could go wrong? One friendship with David Duke later, and Ron becomes the first card-carrying member of his local chapter of the KKK. Hijinks ensue.
All right. So this was Katie's choice. First of all, I want to commend you on getting a character's name correct.
I think
Yeah.
I actually did not even need to look it up.
Well, they said it about 6 million times
yes,
in the
I
movie.
appreciated that.
Has there-
And then it
has
was
there-
repeated in the credits.
Yeah.
Yep.
that is one of my favorite things about how does this get made when they talk about films where they're constantly repeating
Yes.
the character's name ad
Yeah.
But
nauseum.
it helped.
This
It helped
film
me
is
a
an
lot.
all-time for it.
Yep.
At least it made sense in this film.
Yes,
So,
it did.
yeah.
And the way they said it was funny.
Yeah.
Like, but still. So Katie, this was your selection for our
was.
Oscar film
Mhm.
choices. What drew you to BlacKKlansman?
I do enjoy Mr. Washington, and I had heard great things about this movie, and I started watching it at some point and was really into it, and then I paused because I wanted to watch it with Jim, and that had not happened yet. So when we decided we needed Oscar movies, this was an easy pick for me.
Excellent. So based on a true story, how, one of those things always how much true it is. I tried to do some research, and a lot of it seemed to be as close as these movies tend to be. I mean, sometimes they go in wildly different directions, but it tells a true story of like Katie said, an African-American detective in the 1970s who infiltrates the KKK. And Adam Driver, who we love, who's always good in, I feel like, almost everything he is in, plays the white detective who has to pretend to be Ron Stallworth. And we get to see the sheer idiocy of the KKK on display with the buffoons that are part of the Colorado Springs Ku Klux Klan movement.
I did not know that this was based on a true story until we got to the credits and saw Ron Stallworth's name as writer of the book.
Are you serious right now?
I did not know.
The first line, there's a title that says this is based on some faux real shit. And you were like, oh, wait, what did that say? And I told you what it said.
You did tell me that.
Jesus.
And then I forgot.
Is this happening right now?
I forgot that we had the conversation. In the middle of the movie, I was honestly thinking, like, man, who comes up with this concept? Like, this is bananas.
Oh, my God.
This only reinforces my thought that every film you two should watch should be live streamed via Facebook Live.
No, because that doesn't become funny till days later. Like,
set up a webcam and just roll on it so that we can play audio of it when something like this happens. So this won Spike Lee an Oscar. Shockingly, never had won an Oscar before. Won it for screenwriting. This is an adaptation of a book, and the screenplay was fun. I enjoyed it, but I had some issues with it.
Do tell.
Can I confront them?
Please do.
Yeah.
One of the first of all, probably the biggest issue I had was I felt there was a very odd tonal balance to this movie at points. Like, and I don't know quite how to say it. So let me get into some of the stuff I liked, and then we could get to it. I thought the performances were great. Denzel Washington's son, John David Washington, awesome.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to be in the Christopher Nolan movie Tenet, which is I absolutely can't wait to see. Adam Driver, all the secondary performances, great.
Steve Buscemi's brother.
Steve Buscemi's brother.
Yes, so good. Everything about it, I thought Spike Lee's direction was good. Everything. There were just elements that felt weird to me at points where I wasn't quite sure. And it was, I don't know if it was trying to be satirical at points, which I'm sure it was, but certain segments just felt off to me. Not that it wasn't a great movie, but I remember at the time there was a lot of anger maybe that, Spike Lee should have won Best Director, should have won Best Picture for it. And I don't put it quite to that level.
Yeah, I agree. I think I was comparing it to Do the Right Thing as I was watching and still feeling like Do the Right Thing has just a little bit of a leg up on it. For me, it was a few of the moments with the music where I just felt like the pairing of the music with what was going on, it was distracting to me.
Maybe
right? Like
that
it wasn't enhancing the scene or setting the tone of the scene. It was jarring in a way that didn't make sense.
Well,
it just didn't. For me, it didn't fit with like what was happening in that moment.
Well, and also towards the end of the movie, this happened for me a couple times as well. Like at the end, when he's told to get off the case, after they've already kind of solved it and give it away, the bomb went off, the Klan was trying to blow something up.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're all laughing at David Duke on the phone. It just had this weird tonal thing. And then the way it ends is a little weird. And then Spike Lee goes into all the footage from Charlottesville and stuff like that. And it just...
I agree.
I understand why he wants to do it. And I think it's important that he wants to do it. But the editing felt a little choppy to me in story. And part of that could be with all these movies. What movie came to my mind a lot when I was watching this? A Beautiful Mind with Russell Crowe, which won a Best Picture. But it was similar vein, like a story about a real person in almost a surreal situation. And you're trying to tell a condensed version of a story. And that always, I feel, leads to maybe a little bit choppier narrative than you would think. Because you're trying to tell a movie something that played over a longer period of time, and you're condensing people into single characters and things like that. And I thought the screenplay was great, but maybe that was part of my issue with this.
Well, so I think for me, understanding at the end that it was written by that detective, right? That it was based on his telling of the events, made a few of those things make a little bit more sense to me, because I too felt that at the ending, like it felt too... Again, to contrast it against Do the Right Thing, there's no happy ending at the end of Do the Right Thing, right? Like you still feel very unsettled. And I think you get that feeling with the footage from Charlotte, but it felt too much like
Charlottesville.
Thank you very much. It felt too much like a celebration of Ron's victory and maybe not an acknowledgement of, I don't know, that this is just a small piece in a really giant, disturbing reality, right?
Yeah, so I think it's just a little bit messy because things are messy. And I think there are a lot of aspects to this one issue. And I don't think Spike Lee is dumb enough to distill it down and try to make it black and white. And really say that, like, this is the issue. I think a lot of this movie, you have Ron in the middle of a lot of these tensions, sort of like Mookie in Do the Right Thing. And I think there's a lot of, it's a really complex situation for that character, right? He's always wanted to be a cop. You get that. And he's falling in love with a woman who hates cops because of, the experiences that African Americans have had with police officers at that time. And I think, so I think it's a tough job to tell this story as someone who is so knowledgeable about all the possible, moving parts here. And so like the thing I did like about his direction is the way that he like played the two scenes of like the Klan meeting and the Black Student Union meeting.
Oh, yeah.
And at first I was like, oh man, is he really leaning into the fact that like Ron's in between these two groups and these two groups are sort of the opposite ends of the spectrum? But I don't think that's what he's saying. I think he's really saying like, listen to these people telling a retelling of a really personal, true experience that's horrific. And then these other people that are sort of like 10 degrees separated from anything that makes any sense at all, having these strong feelings that they are owed something and have created something. I felt with this movie that I would need to watch it a few more times to try to pick out the things that Spike Lee is trying to like really come forward. Because I think similar to Do the Right Thing, I don't think and I haven't listened to anything that he said, so maybe, but for me, when I watch Do the Right Thing and then this, I don't think he's making an extreme point. I think he is telling some stories, showing you some things, and letting you kind of make up your mind, which is a way more powerful than being told what to think, right?
Oh, no, agree. And I think when I said the way it was edited, maybe that was overly harsh because I love the way that sequence was edited.
Yeah.
In particular, I guess my point is when it got towards the end and they bust the racist cop in the bar and the way that that almost felt like a dream to me.
Yes.
Like I would
and
maybe that was just me. Do you know what I mean? I was like, that's what I mean about tonally feeling a little bit. And maybe I'm often just not understanding what he was trying to get across there, because it almost felt like TV-ish to me. Like,
well, there were other parts that felt like that too.
Was weird. And I didn't get, and maybe I need to rewatch it to understand that, because I think the other choices he made were so interesting and so good throughout the film. That part just jumped out at me, and I kept sitting there waiting for the foot to drop. I'm like, is this a joke? Because why is this captain so happy now? And why are these? And they're all yucking it up like it's a 1970s comedy. And I didn't quite get that. And I felt like maybe I was missing something. And then it was that tonal shift of he's in the apartment and the two of them walk out with the guns, and then it cuts to the Charlottesville stuff.
Yeah.
And I was like, maybe I wasn't watching it deep enough to understand what that tonal shift was there. But there were points at other points in the movie, and I think Katie's right with the music, where it set something up that I don't know. I felt an imbalance at points in what terms. So maybe that wasn't. I don't want to critique his direction, because I think the direction was interesting and I think the editing was good. I think maybe I was missing something. I don't know. I thought the music, while it was like period appropriate, it wasn't as like special connected like a Tarantino. Like Tarantino. That's what I mean. That would be like Tarantino would pick stuff that always feels like it fits perfectly. And we already talked about Spike Lee's use of music and Do the Right Thing.
Yeah, it was
and how
awesome.
That was so perfect. I don't know. There was just something I was slightly off for me at points with this movie.
You know, there's a big difference in that he is working off of source material for this, and that the author is very much alive, and I don't know how much he was connected to the making of the movie, but I would imagine that as a director and a screenwriter that you feel the need to honor that source material. And so I'm wondering just if we were to read the memoir, if that, taking down the corrupt cop who,
which I was fine and I wanted.
But what you were talking about right now is exactly what he won the Oscar for.
Was for adapting
it.
Yeah, no, I know. So, and it's hard to evaluate that not knowing the original piece.
What's interesting is my problem's not even with that it was done. It just felt like there was something in that sequence, whether it be the editing, the music, the direction that was given, that made me feel like, is this kind of surreal? I don't know if this is really happening.
Yeah. And
what I'm not understanding is Spike Lee's way too talented for that not to be purposeful.
Yeah.
So I'm just wondering did I miss something about that and why he made that choice to do it in that way?
I think
I'm so sorry. Go ahead.
I think so. I think he did it on purpose to lighten some of the movie, and in a way was sort of like that tone was very much like a buddy cop movie.
Yeah.
And that's like from that time period, because you have those scenes where they are sort of, making fun of each other and just being funny around each other. And then the captain, like the typical like captain yelling at yelling at them for shooting and the lie detector test and stuff like that. But I think the end piece is sort of like, yeah, like they're yucking it up and arresting that police officer who's awful. But I think he did want to leave you on a note of like, while all that's great, like every day when this guy answers the door, he's going to be scared for his life. Yeah. And so I think his tonal shift is purposeful. Whereas like, I think Do the Right Thing was like a ramp up to that tone shift. Yeah. That this was like more of an up and down. And whether that works for you or not is obviously like your personal preference, but yeah.
And I mean, I think his ability to take you on that ride, and we talked about this with Do the Right Thing, the discomfort that you sit with in watching those scenes, to me it's so important, right? Like it just feels like it's something that we should all have to do, right? Mm-hmm. To sit in the scene with the cops pulling over Patrice, the four folks in the car, like it makes your skin crawl. And to see a scene like that and to have that feeling like, no, this is more common, more typical than any of us would want to believe, than any of us would want to, agree to. One of the interesting changes that I thought Spike Lee made was apparently the change in time period. And so the events happened in 1979 and Spike Lee rolled it back and made it 1972, which I think is interesting because to me that's a significant, that's 7 years difference. Like, yeah. I mean, it's the turn into 1980 and we're still seeing,
yes,
right? Like that kind of.
I mean, certainly the fear of like the Black Panther movement and stuff like that is much more of an issue in the early 70s. By the late 70s, I'm not saying it's not an issue anymore, but when you get in the Carter and the Iranian hostage, it was not.
Well, and people want to believe that the KKK and really just like racism in general are a thing of like the Jim Crow South, and that it doesn't expand farther than that, And so to look at like Colorado 1979.
Well, it's interesting because Martin Luther King actually had always said that the worst march he had to ever deal with was in Chicago. Wow. When they were trying to get affordable housing in Chicago, and it was horrific. And if you see the video of it, it was, in some ways, he felt more appalling than what was taking place in the Jim Crow South. And that carries over, I think, a little bit. I will give Spike Lee, and not that I have to give Spike Lee credit because he's amazing, but the fact that he was able, this is a heavy topic, but I think it's kind of a fun movie to watch. The performances of it and stuff. It is a real, like, when I feel like at points I don't want to come down too heavy on this film because this is a really good film.
Oh, it's so good. Yeah.
But it's really enjoyable to watch. And he balances that in a way. Like, so I question that one little tonal thing that I'm actually feeling better now, having talked it out with you guys in terms of what he was doing. But the performances are so fun, so engaging, and yet at the same time, it is obviously such a serious issue. And Jim hit on it perfectly. He doesn't hit you over the head. He just allows kind of the characters to immerse you in the experience. and you start to think about it.
Yeah. I did want to talk about Paul Walter Hauser, who plays Ivanhoe.
Oh my God.
He is a ridiculous character. He's a ridiculous character in the other movie I noticed him in, which is I, Tonya, where he plays the bodyguard.
Oh, does Jeff go?
Yes. Yes, it is. And if you've never seen that, he is just as ridiculous. And he's the star of Richard Jewell, which I didn't see.
Yes, I forgot about that. Yeah.
But he is great in this movie and so weird. There's like that scene in the church right before where Ron Stallworth gets assigned to be David Duke's security, which I think it was kind of a missed opportunity to like give the captain a little nod after that whole thing and say like he did that on purpose to piss off the Klan.
Yeah,
because you would not do that unless you wanted to piss them off.
Well, exactly, and that maybe is one of the things that threw me off tonally as well towards the end part is I never really got that captain. Like I got the part where he's like, you have to destroy your files and stuff, because obviously that came from somebody above. But
so I don't know if I was giving that as credit to the captain. I thought that was some sort of a underhanded way of like putting him in danger.
I don't think you want to do that, though. There's no benefit.
I agree, but I thought...
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense otherwise.
With all of the guys saying, though, like, they know his voice, like, that, like, there were too many risks, and it does end up kind of being the boiling point, right? Where, like, there's somebody there looking at him and looking at Adam Driver and putting pieces together.
Right, but I don't understand why you would... I mean, to do that is also an affront to David Duke's sensibilities, right? Like you don't do that. Yeah. So like you wouldn't do that without knowing all those things that we just laid out.
I guess so.
I know, but that I guess
just think he would go in with another cop. Like I can't imagine sending him in alone, right? Like
I don't know.
That's just going to all work out fine.
There is some confusion at point. Again, I'm going to chalk that up to this is, a condensing of a really big story into, you have to move the pieces along here.
Yeah.
The portrayal of the Ku Klux Klan in this movie is tremendous in terms of like, I don't even know how to say it. Like you're watching it and you're like, I don't want to say you're you're kind of angry, but it's more like just like these people are effing pathetic. You know how like sometimes these movies, I think of like Mississippi Burning, which is an amazing movie, but you're just like angered by the Klan in that movie. You just get this bile in your throat thinking about them. And that's certainly justifiable to feel that way. To me, this movie just shows them to be so infantile, so juvenile, so pathetic that it's almost humorous, like how pathetic they are in some sense.
Well, I also, but I think it's worth mentioning that Spike Lee's making a very valid point here that this was like a turning point for them in the fact that someone like David Duke, who is still relevant today,
yes, he's in the end clip at Charlottesville,
was really changing their culture so that they could affect policy. And I don't think you should just gloss over that. So like as
no, it was very different. I just meant like the way the Colorado Springs crew
I know, but it's important I think it's important and even more relevant that smart politically minded folks can really take advantage of a bunch of stupid people. Right? And so like
to further their own cause.
Yes. Yeah, and that was very apparent in this movie. And there were actually numerous jokes and tie-ins to our current situation throughout this film.
Who's the most disturbing character in this movie, you think?
Oh, the wife.
Who has to be, right?
Yeah.
Does she not have to be? I mean, I was thinking about this. I often think about those types of things. Just in movies, like which character is this? Like which character is the most terrifying? It is the wife, isn't it? To give a little background, if you've never seen the movie, there's a wife of one of the Klan's members, the most militant of all the Klan's members, and they host the Klan meetings in his house, etc. And the wife is just beholden to this man, plays the role of planting the bomb. That's I guess is, what their goal was to blow something. Yeah, that just felt, I know that really happened. That felt just more like as a narrative point, like we had to get this to something in the end, and she's involved in this and blows it up.
She is terrifying, but I mostly find her really sad.
That's
almost
true.
More of like an abuse,
maybe that could be.
I mean,
like,
you look at her as somebody
she's manipulated,
right?
Yeah.
Whereas to me, the cop.
Oh, the cop! I forgot about him.
Well, that goes without saying.
Because
I feel like he's
there's a difference between somebody who, for all of the reasons, low self-esteem, probably abusive childhood, ends up being in a situation where they just do horrendous things, right? Where they are being emotionally controlled, manipulated. But to be in a position of power, like that police officer, and then use that power to abuse others, like that, I couldn't. He made my skin crawl. So that scene at the end, what did work for me was that shift from like when you don't realize that, this
they're
is
gonna get him,
right, that this is an investigation and they're going to take down the corrupt cop, and he slides up next to Patrice, and you've seen him earlier in the movie put his hands on her, and I'm like, how is she so calm? Like just kind of like calling him out really calmly. I'm like, oh my God, like how is she able to just say these words so calmly? And then you find out that like it's all been a plan to get rid of him. And so that, like, I was there with that, like the triumphant, and if that really happened, right? Like if that, now Patrice was a fictionalized character. So that's the part that's a little bit problematic there, where it's like, so I'm assuming that there was a piece of the story where they did get rid of a corrupt cop.
Oh, I'm sure. Or if they didn't, there was obviously occurring.
Sure. Oh, absolutely. Oh, well, and I guess that was the part that surprised me. I was like, oh, okay, so this is that abnormal that they are able to actually like affect change and getting rid of him.
Well, yeah.
I was feeling like that's probably more the norm, right?
And that's maybe what threw me off a little bit about that whole sequence as well, because after they bring him down, they go back and all the cops are high-fiving him in the thing, and everything we ever see about police is this idea that even if it's the biggest piece of garbage, people aren't usually like, I don't know.
No, I agree.
On that line.
I agree.
Lots of interesting characters. I got to admit, I had up until this point not knowingly seen John David Washington in anything. I was trying to think. I don't know what else he's even been in.
We watched him on Ballers. He's in the HBO show Ballers.
I don't watch.
Where he's basically playing like a not a Terrell Owens, but he's a wide receiver who's like very talented, but has off the field problems.
And we just saw him in something else. I know he's going to be in Tenet, but we saw him in another movie.
We did?
We did. Look him up.
All right. Well, anyway. By the way, signed by the St. Louis Rams, was a legit football player.
Oh, wow.
He is awesome.
Yeah.
And now I'm even more excited for Tenet because I loved him completely in this role. When he starts doing, and I didn't pull any audio on this, I wish I had, that Ron Stallworth white guy voice.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God. So funny.
When he calls Topher Grace, so Topher Grace really good as David Duke in this movie, which couldn't have been an easy role to play, honestly, as an actor, because actors love to immerse themselves in who these people are. Also, Ryan Engold, who I don't watch it anymore, but I loved The Blacklist, and he was awesome on The Blacklist for so long.
Who was he in?
He was he was the leader of the Klan, the guy with the mustache.
Oh, yeah.
I thought was really, I just thought the performance, and Adam Driver is I don't know. He's just one of those guys. He was in Logan Lucky. Have you guys seen that yet?
No, but I heard it's very good.
Oh, so good. Him, Daniel Craig, Channing Tatum. It's on Prime if you haven't seen. Another great. It's like a heist movie that he's in. That's fun. He's always good.
Yep.
Every performance is good. This is just one of those movies that.
Yeah, where Ron's making him read the script of like it's so funny.
But so much about this movie was good. I think maybe I was more nitpicky because we are so not far removed from watching Do the Right Thing. Yeah. And that might have been an unfair. Do you know what I mean?
It is a very good movie. Yeah.
I do wonder if I hadn't just watched Do the Right Thing like a month ago.
Yeah.
Would I be even more, was I a little nitpicky because I think Spike Lee and I'm thinking Do the Right Thing, and Do the Right Thing is a transcending, generational film. This is just is a really good film.
Yeah, well, and I think what Spike Lee does really well is point shine the spotlight, like pull all the cockroaches out of the darkness, and let you sit with it. And so I felt that same feeling that you got in Do the Right Thing, where it's that tension that he creates. And then invites you into the understanding that like this isn't just a fictional art piece, right? Like this is the world that we live in. And for an artist to be able to do that well more than once, certainly worth an Oscar or two.
Yeah, and he finally got his. Okay, so BlacKKlansman is available to stream. I got it from the library.
We signed up for Cinemax for a free trial in order to watch that. Yeah, a little Skinemax in our life.
Yeah,
you still have that?
No, everybody should see it. I think this is a must watch.
Yeah, very fun. It was great. It was great. All right, it is time for Game of the Week.
Should have made Scout dance.
This week's Game of the Week is higher or lower. So this week we're asking, is BlacKKlansman higher or lower as a film than these other period films that we have watched on Comm Majors before? All right, so we've done a myriad of period films. So here we go. Let's start out with Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Is BlacKKlansman higher or lower than Once Upon a Time in Hollywood?
Who's going first?
I don't know. I think we should just all say it at the same time. Ready?
Well, that's not easy on a podcast.
No, we can do it. We're going to count into it. Ready? 3.
No. What Brian's saying is like, if we accomplish what you're asking, it's going to sound terrible.
But we talk over each other all the time.
Yeah, but not in a concerted effort. Usually there's like a blending where it's like going over.
I have a feeling, though, we're all going to say the same word. And so then it's going to be fine. Let's just try it. Just for Katie, just for one time.
Okay. All right. Here we go.
All right. 3, 2, 1. Lower. See?
Yeah. Okay.
It worked.
All right. There we go. All right.
Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is higher. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Is BlacKKlansman higher or lower than Dirty Dancing?
Now, may I ask a qualifying question? Are we evaluating it as a period film or just as a film in general?
That's a film.
It's a film.
Just as a film.
I just use period films we've done because we've done 76 movies now. So we have to provide some sort of category here.
Okay. All right.
1, 2, 3. Lower.
Higher.
I love Dirty Dancing. But I would say the artistry of this movie is still a little bit above Dirty Dancing is an amazing story with great actors and actresses and wonderful music. But I think that this film shows a little more skill.
Yeah, I think I would
flex.
I would probably be likely, if you gave me the choice of the two, to watch Dirty Dancing.
Right.
But as a film and what's been done, I appreciate probably more what Spike Lee has done.
Well, and I think what you're speaking to, is important to note, right? Like, BlacKKlansman isn't a movie that you're going to keep rewatching because it makes you feel good. It doesn't make you feel good because it's some of the worst parts of our society.
Yeah,
but that's why it's important.
I was recommending it today to people.
I think you've got to watch it.
Yeah,
I think people have to watch it
at some point to watch it again.
But I don't think folks are signing up to like watch it for fun on the weekends.
Yeah, Dirty Dancing also takes very little investment to watch.
Right. Yeah.
And I think so, which is part of it. Okay, here we go. Next up, would you rank BlacKKlansman higher or lower than A League of Their Own? All right.
Okay.
Do we do it individually here?
No.
All right.
You have a lot of movies on this list, Bri. We got to go.
All right. We're almost done. 3, 2, 1.
Lower.
Higher. I think I would have a similar argument for Dirty Dancing.
Okay. The Hours.
Okay.
Higher or lower? 3, 2, 1.
Lower.
Higher.
Clearly, Katie and I.
Wait, I think I got confused on that one.
I can't believe you.
I know. I was shocked. Which film do you rank higher?
The Hours is higher than BlacKKlansman for me.
Actually, you know what? I might even pick The Hours. Actually, is higher than BlacKKlansman. All right, and our final one, The Favorite, which we watched to start our Oscars. 3, 2, 1.
Lower.
Yeah.
I enjoyed The Favorite. That's, by the way, both were Oscar, obviously, because it's Oscar month, nominated and have winners, or they wouldn't even.
You know what's funny is, like, I understand why you would pick BlacKKlansman to be higher than Dirty Dancing and A League of Their Own, but I think as far as like comparing them, those two movies will have more longevity than any other two movies on this list.
I agree with that.
And
but I think you're looking at it right. But
no, Dirty Dancing and A League of Their Own.
Oh, okay, yes.
But that's when we go back to like
this is why comedy and horror and certain genre films have such a hard time getting purchased at the Oscars, because the level of like how BlacKKlansman makes you feel, they are never going to hit that note, right? Mm-hmm. But they can hit the note on the other side, and people don't recognize that as deep of a feeling.
Mm.
Yeah, I think that even as we picked Oscar films this month, I don't feel most Oscar-winning films are films that you rewatch every year. They're just not. I think, Jim, you might be right in terms of the films.
But I'm not even talking about like the rewatchability. Like, I guess I sort of am, but
you're talking about the like what it invokes. Like, I think like there's a reason you rewatch certain movies.
Yeah,
and it connects with you on a personal level. I think, at least, that makes people want to rewatch it. And a lot of Oscar films, they clearly tend to be about an agenda usually.
Yeah, and I also think people approach art in general this way, which is that if something makes you feel good, it's just popcorn movie, or it's pop music. It's not,
it's brushed to the side. It's
right.
not valid.
It can't be super artistic. It needs,
I don't know. I feel like when you look at the list of Oscar winners, that there have been those movies that have been acknowledged over the years that were just like feel good movies that everybody loved, that had great acting, and
listen, it certainly happens from time to time, but I would wonder if you do a deep,
but I'm not, but you guys are twisting this a little bit. I'm not talking about the Oscars. That's like an example of what I was talking about. We're comparing BlacKKlansman to two movies that you put it above. I don't know. I honestly think both of those accomplish what they were trying to accomplish better than BlacKKlansman did.
That could be fair.
Okay.
I wouldn't necessarily disagree with that. I don't know. I'd have to struggle. I think I'd have to think.
And A League of Their Own has what I consider to be the best Tom Hanks performance, and he's probably going to end up being.
But I think it's like comparing, the kid that's taking AP Anatomy to the kid who's taking standard bio senior year. Like, I think there is some
are you
credit.
Talking about? You have
there's credit for doing a harder thing. I think Spike Lee is trying to do a harder thing.
Well, let's see him make a comedy as strong as A League of Their Own.
Yeah, you know what?
It's not easier to make BlacKKlansman than to make a comedy as good as A League of Their Own. I'm telling you,
might be the hardest thing to make.
Yeah.
Honestly. You know what it is? I think Jim's point is valid in the sense that perhaps BlacKKlansman, we need more time away from it. There's something that still resonates. Jim's right.
I think
it's Their Own and Dirty Dancing. I mean, these are films 20 some odd years ago that are still affecting us in ways. And Spike Lee has one of those in Do the Right Thing. Is BlacKKlansman Do the Right Thing?
I just have to push back on it because I think that human nature is going to be to lean into the things that make us feel good, right? And so, yeah, every time people are going to choose to watch the movies that make us feel good. They're not going to keep rewatching the movies that.
Why are we talking about rewatching?
Because that's what you're talking about.
No,
you're talking about that,
about the quality of the film.
People are going to remember these movies. The people are going to be watching these movies for the foreseeable future.
But
showing them to their kids.
But what I just said was that when you compare apples to apples, you picked every other movie that is a more serious movie over BlacKKlansman. And then when you compare it to two more lighthearted movies that you would probably put over almost any other lighthearted movie, you gave it to BlacKKlansman.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I just want to call that to light. I'm not saying you're right or wrong. I'm just saying that that's interesting because it has come up a few times about how certain movies, and I totally disagree with you on the AP Bio. I think that's degrading to a certain sect of filmmakers. I don't agree on that one.
Okay.
All right, I can solve this problem right now.
Go ahead.
3, 2, 1. BlacKKlansman higher or lower than chances are. 3, 2, 1.
Lower.
Oh shit.
Problem solved. Yet again, I have solved marital crisis. It is time for 5 questions.
You want answers? You want answers?
I want the truth!
What makes a man, Mr. Lebowski?
What the fuck is the internet? Would you? Why?
This week on 5 questions, Katie will be answering. And I just realized I'm changing my Dirty Dancing response because I forgot the director of Dirty Dancing is also the director of Chances Are. So I'm.
He only directed 3 movies, right?
He died.
Yeah.
You know that Jim and I are going to stay up for an hour having this conversation after the podcast.
I'm going to get off of this as quick as possible. That's why I'm pushing this show along. I want to get the hell out of here as fast as possible. Katie is answering this week because BlacKKlansman was her movie. Question number 1, thumbs up or thumbs down question. Of course, the amazing Topher Grace was in this film. Are you thumbs up or thumbs down on That 70s Show?
I'm going to go a thumb in the middle. I think I've seen a few episodes. I recognize.
Is this a pop-addled episode? Your thumb is 1-3.
I loved That 70s Show.
I never even watched one season consistently. So I feel like I've seen bits and pieces, and it was funny, and I like those actors and actresses. Though Ashton Kutcher always rubbed me the wrong way. But it seemed great.
Thumb sideways.
Sideways for me.
Okay. Question number 2. Would you rather see Spike Lee direct an action movie or a horror movie?
That's going to be action for me every single time. Yeah. You can
Inside,
put any
I
other,
guess it's not action, but
put any other director
thriller,
into that question. It's still going to be action.
Okay.
Would Katie rather see an action movie or a horror movie? Every single time, an action movie.
All right, there you go. Question number 3, our fill in the blank question. I'd love to see Adam Driver co-star in a film with blank.
This is so hard. Oh, I want to see him with all of the people. I'm going to go.
All the people.
I want to see him with all of the people. I'm trying to think of like 2 of my favorite people that I want.
Okay.
I want him to be on screen with Lupita. I want him to be on screen with Lupita. Lupita Nyong'o.
No.
Yep.
All right.
That's what
All
I
right,
want.
perfect. All right, good. Great answer. All right, question 4, our favorite question. What's your favorite Denzel Washington movie?
I'm going to go with Return of the Titans. It's the most.
Jim,
Is that before or after?
Remember.
The Jedi.
I had it in my brain. I was like, do I have this right? Is that the right R word? Return of the King?
I do want to add that Katie just invalidated your criticism of her. She could have picked Malcolm X, and instead
she picked Remember the Titans, which is hilarious.
It is. I think it's my most memorable. Like,
it is a good. I do enjoy that movie.
Role
It's very
for
good.
Denzel. I looked through the list because that's what I was thinking. I'm like, is there a movie I'm forgetting that I loved him in?
Oh, Training Day and
So the other one I was thinking was Training Day.
and Man on
but-
Fire. I love Man on Fire.
Oh,
Remember
Man
the
on Fire is
Titans, though.
really good movie.
He's creasy.
I like those
Greasy.
Titans.
Pelican Brief.
I was looking at Pelican. Yeah. He's done some great movies. Yes.
I'm not sure I consider that a great movie actually, but
No,
No, it's not good.
it is.
No,
It is
I haven't
streaming.
seen that in
It is
years.
streaming on Amazon
I
Prime.
remember liking it.
All
What was
right.
that? Bone Collector.
Yeah, it's a good one
Bone
too.
Collector. That's a good one too. All right.
Luis
Deep
Guzman.
thoughts.
Inside Man.
Inside Man. Oh, so many good ones.
Yeah, he's done some
Deep
good
thoughts
movies. Okay,
question
sorry. Yep.
of the week. Does any club or organization have a more ridiculous uniform, as I use air quotes, than the KKK?
Yeah, the Boy Scouts.
Oh, you think the Boy Scouts costume is more ridiculous than the Ku
Tan
Klux?
the shorts.
Something about
Yeah.
the combination of the shorts.
Do
and
they wear
shirt,
shorts? Oh, I
They
guess
wear
yeah.
shorts a lot.
Right. Or is that
the
Eagle
double
Scouts?
greenish brown,
And then
and
the-
the tabbies,
the
and the
little-
little tie. Oh,
The hood though?
Yeah.
You know,
oh the hood's
the-
awful.
The I love and I think we talked about this before. If you have never seen Django Unchained, there's a scene where Jonah Hill and a bunch of other people play KKK guys who had their wives make their hoods the night before, and the one wife forgot to cut the hole. So it's like a whole. It's another great scene where someone is lampooning the KKK, and I love that.
I have another ridiculous uniform.
Oh, okay.
The police officers that wear the shiny high black boots and the shiny
it's
jacket.
like the dress, right?
What is it?
It's like their dress. attire.
No.
Formal is what I mean.
No. I think that's very classy. No, it's more like I feel like I'll see them sometimes, like maybe
Highway Patrol?
maybe Highway Patrol.
Chips?
There's
Are
like-
you
Oh, you
watching
mean
episodes
like
of
state
Chips?
police?
Yeah, like they'll have like a high boot
Yeah.
going on, and then like a weird like puffy coat. Like it's very pompy. I don't know. It's like it's a really weird look.
Yeah, that's a high.
Like, whenever I see that police officer, I'm like, I feel like I would lose respect for you just because you're wearing this outfit. Like I feel like I would say something dumb and get myself arrested because you're wearing this getup. Yeah, I feel that way.
Yeah, I don't think it's as dumb as the.
I want to see some pictures. Give me some pictures of the Highway Patrol. Oh, the Ku Klux Klan is awful uniform. Who thought of it? I don't know. They need
It's a
they
great
need
question.
somebody to do a redesign.
If anybody's interested, feel free, and you dislike the Ku Klux Klan, I have many great articles. In particular,
Not
one of my
helpful.
students and I read about how Ulysses S. Grant, as president, wiped out the original Klan.
Wow.
Unfortunately, they returned and then returned again.
Was
and
it
then
true that
returned.
they returned after Birth of a Nation? Is that
That was part of
That's
it.
the
Yeah,
one.
I believe that was true. Here's the thing: the Klan had a huge resurgence post World War I because they rolled their ideology not just into hatred of African American and Jews, but also of immigrants. And in the 1920s, they actually had a parade right down the street in Washington D.C., and you can find pictures of the Capitol. And it was tied to the emergency Emergency Quota Act and the Quota Act and the limiting of people from Eastern Europe who were socialist or communist coming into the country post founding of the Soviet Union at the end of World War.
I'm gonna put the
and
highway
Mr. Costello history class.
I'm gonna put the highway people right on Brian's screen next to his face for a minute so that everyone can see them.
Everybody see it.
Yeah.
Right there.
I mean,
No, they're on the other side.
Right there.
Yeah.
very good,
they're right
very
there.
good. And then they're holding this. Is that their?
It's
Is
their
that their helmet?
Yeah, it's like
They look ridiculous.
they look like
they look
ridiculous. Sort of like out of Lord of the Rings, like the.
I was going to say out of the Village People. They look
Well,
that
yeah,
looks like those are Village People costumes.
This really.
This is NYPD too, I think.
That kind of looks like the costumes that the people were wearing in the Blue Oyster in the Police Academy movies.
Which is supposed to be the Village People, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
I am now into Police Academy 4.
I don't know why you're doing this to yourself.
You've committed to it. Okay.
I'm committed. This is the last Gutenberg, so it might be it for me. So I don't know if I'm going to continue on.
Gutenberg.
I do love him.
I don't. Though that picture makes me wonder if we should do Dax Shepard's Chips film.
You just made me remember something. Can I revise my answer? Adam Driver, Sam Elliott. Oh my
God.
Oh, that's a good one.
He
That
could
would
be
be
Sam Elliott's dad.
Blow up the internet.
Son.
Right there.
I think is what you want.
Blow it
Sam
up.
Elliott could be the dad. Or it could be a time twist.
Stop it.
Christopher
Make the
Nolan.
movie. Someone make the movie.
Make it.
He was in a movie with Bill Murray. He was in that zombie movie
I
with Bill
don't
Murray.
like Bill Murray.
You don't like Bill
What?
Murray?
What?
I'll be honest. For years, I confused him and Chevy Chase. So I'm still. I have ambivalent feelings towards both of them.
Oh my God. I'm nauseous. I might throw up.
You realize the complicated nature of what you just said, right?
I
They've
might.
been in
I
movies
hate him
together?
because for years I thought he was someone else that I
Somebody
didn't
else.
like.
I know. It's kind of like how I confused you with somebody else and then I held it against you.
Oh my God.
I didn't know that you held it against me until right
it
now.
felt really weird.
I was today years old.
All right. Make sure you continue to like, share, subscribe. We're up to almost.
Brian, did I do it today? Have I made you so disgusted that you're not going to want to do this again?
So disgusting.
And on that,
I know I delight you.
let's talk about our movie next week. It'll be
next
The
week.
Rocket Man.
No, not the Rocket.
Is it the Elton John film?
No.
No. Our next few weeks, we are going to be exploring the wonderful world of Disney and Disney Plus. We're each going to be picking a Disney Plus film. And I have selected for our first viewing, The Rocketeer from
I'm so excited. I don't think I've seen this since I was a kid.
I'm not even sure I saw the whole thing
I saw
as
it
a kid.
in
You
the
were busy
drive-through.
watching Maze
Drive-in. I keep calling it the drive-through theater, which is a whole different kind of theater.
Yeah, that's a whole different thing. This is a kid-friendly film. So
Watch it with your children.
if you are a Comm Majors listener and you have
a
some
little one.
children,
So
pop
maybe,
on the Disney Plus.
maybe
and
this will be
watch.
one of those movies, though, that we watch with the kids, and we're like,
I don't know.
we
I've
should've
seen
been
a lot of
watching that.
people. A lot of people on social media have been talking about this movie and
I
showing
see a
it.
lot of people talking about showing their kids Pretty Woman too. So there's that.
By the way, before we go, and I'm only bringing this up because we weren't overly long this episode. I was in the grocery store today, and People Magazine has a commemorative Pretty Woman edition magazine. They're
Watch out.
selling for $13.99.
watch out.
The making of Pretty
You
Woman.
know who's got that? Jamie Rogers.
Jamie Rogers. She has not been back.
I
since.
know. We alienated her for life.
No.
We thought she was kidding. Nope,
She's
she never
busy.
came back. Never
She's
came
a
back.
busy person.
Tag
She's got
her
a
on
lot
this. I
going.
promise you. She's gone.
She's got a lot going on.
Nope. It doesn't.
She'll be okay.
We lost her
she'll come
forever.
back. She was suggesting movies for us to watch recently.
Yeah.
So
I don't
we're
know. I
okay
think it
with
was the unthinkable. I think we crossed the line for her.
that. All right. Well, we'll see everybody next week for The
Scout wants to
Rocketeer.
say goodbye. Say goodbye,
Say goodbye,
Scout.
Scout.
Bye.
This is a podcast again, Katie. I know I have to remind you.
That
each
was
week.
Scout talking though, Brian. You didn't know?
No, it does not talk.
I made the dog talk into the microphone.
Go listen to some Chris Isaac and continue your argument.
All right. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye.